Good evening.
Good evening.
And welcome. The Leon County School Board meeting of March the 8th, March the 9th, 2021 is now called to order. And we see that arrangements are still being made so that the density in the room is lessened some. We appreciate your following Officer Williams to the holding capacity outside of this room. Thank you so much for your attendance here today. We will now start with our opening items, where our student school board member will be introducing the students who will be providing us with the Pledge of Allegiance and the thought for today. Ms. Asha Harris.
Providing the Pledge of Allegiance, we have Destiny Armistad from Astoria Park Elementary School. She's in 5th grade and is accompanied by her mom, Mrs. Kelly, and her father, Mr. Kelly, and Principal Mr. Souls. Her school activities are Panther Pearls, and her honors are Honor Roll, Panther Pearls, and Student of the Month. She's interested in dance, reading, and being with her family.
Destiny, come on up to the microphone and welcome.
You may now stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right.
For the thought of the day, we have Miles DuPont from Astoria Park Elementary School. He's in 5th grade, and he's accompanied by his father, Mr. DuPont, and Principal, Mr. Souls. His school activities consist of Astoria Park Distinguished Young Gentleman and School Garden Club. His honors are Gentleman of the Month, AB Honor Roll, and Miss Callaghan Student of the Month. His interests are football, sports, gaming, and playing the drums.
All right. There he is.
In recognition of National Women's Month, I would like to share. In recognition of National Women's Month, I would like to share a quote by Michelle Obama. The difference between a broken community and a thriving one is the presence of women who are valued.
Wonderful. Great. Thank you both for your representation from the Astoria Park Elementary School. Thank you, Miss Destiny Armstead. I'm going to see this in a moment. And then that wonderful thought for the day from Mr. Miles DuPont. Would the parents please wave if you're here? Thank you. We appreciate you bringing them out. The proud principal is here. Yes. All part of the Thorpe Street corridor. Our teachers here from Astoria Park. Yes, yes. You can go ahead and applaud the teachers too. That's pretty important, you know. Very important. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And thank you again, Miles, for that quote from former First Lady Michelle Obama. This is Women's History Month, and yesterday was International Women's Day, and I neglected to mention that yesterday. So today I'd like to give a shout out to all of the women of the world for the outstanding things they do, all the achievements and the contributions and the way they rock cradles and the way they keep the world going. Don't you think that's pretty important? So whether you are at work in the house or out of the house, we need you to know that your achievements are still very highly rated, and thank you for all you do. So we will get into this month with the vim and vigor that we need to carry out the policies of the school board. Thank each of you for being here, and certainly you are welcome to stay, elementary students. We'd love to have you, but you probably have homework assignments that you may need to do. So if you'd like to ease out, now could be a good time to do so, but do feel free. It's good to see you, Mr. Sauls. Take care, everybody. All right, we are now ready for our changes and additions. Mr. Jones?
Madam Chair, members of the Leon County School Board, Superintendent.
Can't hear you.
Changes and additions, March 9th, 2021. Public content. The superintendent recommends approval of changes and additions to the March 9th, 2021 school board meeting agenda as presented. Item 1. Item 7.04, approval of personnel actions, March 9th, 2021. Replace documentation and made changes to the language in the public content section of the item. Number 2, item 18.05, short form agreement for Structural Engineering Group, LLC for Leon High School Structural Engineering Services, pulled. 3, item number 19.04, memorandum of agreement between the District School Board of Leon County and the Leon Classroom Teachers Association for 2020-2021, teacher-student contact time, pulled. Those are our changes and additions, Madam Chair.
Yes, is there a motion? Moved by Strickland, second by Wood. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
It passes unanimously. May I just go back and say that Board Member Rasmussen is absent tonight due to travel. All right, we now move into the next item on the agenda. Mr. Superintendent, you're going to talk about the 40 top music educators, I understand.
Yes, ma'am, we are. First, I need to kind of follow up on the comment of Women's Month. I'm just glad to have another male on the dais with me. I mean, this board has been controlled, and council and student school board members, so it's now 6-2.
Yes.
But this just speaks to the amazing women right here in our community who are wonderful leaders, and I'm just so thankful to have you all as a part of this. So congratulations and thank you for all that you've done in support of our children. So with that, I'd like to introduce the proud principal of my alma mater, Augusta Raw Middle School, Mr. Marcus Scott, to introduce a very special faculty member and acknowledge some of her accomplishments. Mr. Scott.
Good evening, school board members. Mr. Superintendent, thank you again for the opportunity to come before you and talk about some of the great programs and astounding educators we have here at Augusta Raw Middle School. Again, this is Women's Month, and I am so elated and I'm so excited to be standing here live from where Dr. Sahili makes the magic happen here in her classroom at Augusta Raw Middle School. Dr. Sahili is not only the director of orchestra here at Raw Middle School, she's also performs in 5 different private orchestras and local orchestras. She's a private violin teacher. She also sits on the board of the Florida Orchestra Association. And not only that, when another program was in need of a teacher, us musicians, I'm a band director, and so I love our musicians. Us musicians, we always go above and beyond. So when another school was in need of an orchestra teacher, she didn't sit still. She stepped up and became the orchestra director as well at Leon High School. And so I am so proud, so excited to acknowledge Dr. Megan Sahili as Yamaha's 40 Under 40 honoree for their music education program. Real quickly, I just wanted to let you know the 40 Under 40 program, music education program, is an advocacy program established by Yamaha, which makes instruments and music equipment and all things of that nature. And what they do, they celebrate music educators of all grade levels, whether it's public or there's private. Private music instructors. But Dr. Sahili was selected from over 100 music educators around the country. She was selected by students, by parents, and other teachers and administrators. So again, I am just so proud of the things that she has done here in Tallahassee, here at Leon High School. And I know Mr. Epstein will say some things as well, but I have to take the credit because she's such a big heart here as the director of orchestra here at Raw Middle School. So without further ado, congratulations for our 40 Under 40 music educator honoree, Dr. Megan Sahili.
Okay. Yes.
Is she there with you? Is Dr. Sahili? There she is. Would you like to say a few words?
Sure. Thank you for recognizing me this evening. I'm really grateful and thankful for the opportunities that I have to work with students at 2 schools. I've been at Raw for 5 years, but this is my first year at Leon. So it was really special to join the program at Leon as well, because a lot of the students at Leon are ones that I was fortunate enough to teach as middle schoolers. So to some extent, it feels like coming home to some students that I know already, but it also feels like just an expansion of what I've gotten to do on the middle school level. So I'm really thankful to the two teams of administrators who have worked out the logistics and all of the difficulties that comes with sharing a teacher. And I couldn't do it without, Mr. Epting, Mr. Scott, and everybody at both schools. So I'm really excited. And I just, want to say how special it is that we have varied arts programs at all of our schools, but especially the schools that support orchestra. As someone who plays violin and has made a career in violin, it's really, really great to see it at some of our schools. And I'm very thankful for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Well, congratulations. It's, I was also visiting Gilchrist Elementary School the other day, and Gilchrist kids were about to go into their strings class. So we have an amazing arts program throughout the entire district, and, Augusta Raw and Leon High School certainly lead the way. But it would not happen without you. I had flashbacks, Marcus, to that room. That's not the chorus room, is it?
No, sir. This is the actual orchestra.
Okay,
room.
good, because I was starting to get high. So 45 years ago in your chorus room, on Fridays, I was in the chorus. Of course, there were obviously no tryouts because I was in the chorus. And on Fridays, we used to have open mic day, and I sang Beth, the song Beth by Kiss. You don't even know that song, but anyway. So congratulations, Dr. Sahili. We're very, very proud of you, and I'm sure Principal Epting will echo some of Mr. Scott's comments. So following that, Madam Chair, if I may,
Yes,
we
sir.
have the proud principal of Leon High School, Mr. Billy Epting, who would also like to recognize a member of our faculty that's involved in the performing arts. Mr. Epting.
Mr. Superintendent and School Board, thank you for having me this evening. I do want to thank Principal Scott. He did come through in a clutch for me. We were in need of an orchestra teacher, and he had the wonderful, wonderful Megan Sahili that he was able to offer to us. It was some logistics to get it figured out, how to get her back and forth, up and down Miccosukee and Tharp to get her back and forth on time. But we are truly thankful to have Megan as a part of our faculty at Leon High School. She does get to train them up right at Raw and then bring them up to Leon and take them to the next step. And we are fortunate to have her. And I am very thankful to Principal Marcus Scott for allowing us to be able to do that. I would like to recognize another outstanding woman this evening to go along with the theme for this month. Our drama teacher, Lee Marshall, has been recognized by the James Madison Institute as the 5th annual Innovative Educator of the Year. Back in the fall, when we started on this unknown trip of hybrid education, there was a lot of reservation and angst and anxiety as to how the teachers would get this thing done. And Lee Marshall was one of several teachers here at Leon High School that stepped forward and said, I don't have a whole lot of experience, but I'll figure it out. And not only has she figured it out, she has shared it with her colleagues. And she's done it in a way that makes them feel comfortable coming to her and asking questions and helping figure out how to do these things. And what makes it even more amazing is it was one of her parents of one of her students that recommended Lee for this award. The parents, the one that wrote the application, put her name in, and really did the sell job for her. So it is a true testament to all of the educators that we have, not just Lee Marshall, not just Megan Sahili, not just Raw, and not just Leon, of what the accomplishments our teachers in Leon County have been able to make this year and how to reach our students. But we are extremely proud of Lee Marshall at Leon High School, and she truly is an Innovative Educator of the Year. So I would like to recognize Lee. Lee, if you're on there, you are welcome to chime in and toot your own horn. Not that you've ever been real shy about doing that before.
I have not been. I think that probably sums me up. She didn't know how to do it, but she said, "Oh, I think I'll figure it out." That pretty much sums it up for all teachers this year. I think that's what we've all been doing this year. And I do think my claim to fame, though, is I would like to say that I starred in High School Musical with Rocky Hanna probably about 10 years ago at Young Actors. And I played the drama teacher. And obviously I played it so well that I convinced you all that I could be a drama teacher.
Good for you. Good for you.
Well, Lee, we're very, very proud of you and all that you've accomplished. And, you know, you had big shoes to fill following Rod Durham and the legacy that Rod, my classmate, left on that program. And we made a commitment this summer when we were weighing options about all digital and all brick and mortar and the hybrid and this and that. But one of the things we were always committed to was ensuring that our arts programs would stay alive and well even through a pandemic. And I know it has not been easy for you or for others, but we made it happen for all of our children, whether they were physically in our schools or whether they were at home, because it's such an important part of what we do. But you make the magic happen. And I just see you're so passionate. The kids adore you just like they adored Mr. Durham. I mean, that has to be very rewarding, but to be recognized by your own profession at this level is just a testament to who you are. And we're just grateful to have both of you in our school system. So thank you for all of your hard work.
Well, thank you all.
Thank
you for helping. I will say I love Canvas, and it has really made my teaching so much better this year. So thank you for investing in that program for us and helping us to make it work. Even though we didn't know how it was going to happen, we were able to make it work with the tools that we were given.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Epting, Mr. Scott, Dr. Saley, and Ms. Marshall. And it is all right, perhaps, through this month that you continue to toot your own horn, since this is Women's History Month. You're doing an outstanding job. We thank each of you. And it's also good to know that there is this kind of cooperation amongst principals in the district where there is a need, that need can be met. So thank you for sharing and bringing the kind of educational opportunities for our children. We thank each of you for that. All right. We move now to number 5 on the agenda, persons to be heard. Ms. Williams?
Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
There are 2 speakers.
All right.
The first is Marie Claire Lehman.
Okay.
If you could please come to the podium, give us your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Marie Claire Lehman, 1911 Walhalla Court, Tallahassee 32301. Nice to see you all again in person. It's been a long time. I'm here today to speak to you guys about FSA testing. I'm one of many advocates for public schools, as many of you know, who really tries hard to be present at the legislature, and we have been this year trying to get the high stakes of FSA removed. Our preference from the Title I Advisory Council would have been a suspension of FSA altogether, because we don't think it's necessary with all the great progress monitoring that you're doing and the risk that we won't have 95% participation in all of our schools, et cetera, big waste of time, et cetera. But right now we're working hard to remove the high stakes. And I'm really here to speak to you as ambassadors of our schools and spokespeople from our schools, and also to the community at large, to keep in mind that the stakes that we attribute to school grades is something that we do as an entire community. Superintendent Hanna, you were very outspoken at the last school board meeting about saying that you wouldn't care about the school grades this year, and I really, really appreciate that. I know that you're very genuine in that sentiment, and that carries over in your meetings with staff, with administrators, school administrators, but I think it's something that we have to take on board as a community as a whole. We don't know what the legislature is going to do. We do know that we're doing good progress monitoring. We do know that our schools are doing their very best to meet the needs of every student in front of them, whether on the computer in Zoom or in person. We do know that our administrators, our teachers, our parent liaisons, our paraprofessionals, our support staff, everyone is working their heart out, and they do every year. And the school grades almost never reflect, don't reflect all of that. They don't reflect the work of the music teacher, for instance, that we just honored, right? Or the drama teacher that we just honored. And they don't reflect it any year, but they really will not reflect the hard work of our schools this year. And for the odd school that might have a good school grade, that will not be something to celebrate. And the schools that have low school grades, that will not be something to be worried about in and of itself. We will worry about the students, we will worry about their progress, but we should not care about the school grades. And I don't usually come here to tell you not to care. I usually come here to tell you to care about our Title I schools, to care about our most vulnerable students, as a broken record almost. But I don't want you to care about our school grades this year, or any year, this year in particular. And I want the entire community to take that on board. I don't want to see the school grades published in the Tallahassee Democrat. We need to take away their power to stress out our staff, to stress out our administrators, to compare our schools. Thank you very much for your time.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Jones.
as Ms. Lehman leaves the podium, I just want to acknowledge what I believe has been the great work of Ms. Lehman and other members of the Title I Committee and their advocacy. She and the chair, Talithia Edwards, and all the members of that committee have been working hard with letter writing, their conspicuous presence during the legislative process, and what I believe has been their clear clarion call regarding issues of testing. And I just want to celebrate these parents and others who are engaged in our citizen advisory committees and the work that they're doing on behalf of all of our schools and all of our children and the families that they serve. So thank you, Ms. Lehman, and thank you to the Title I Advisory Committee.
Absolutely. Ditto, ditto.
Madam Chair,
Next speaker.
the second and last speaker has actually submitted 2 speaker cards. Your board policy says that you give members of the public a reasonable opportunity to be heard. The speaker cards, one is for item 6.01 and one is for item 6.03.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask the speaker to come, give his name and address for the record, and he'll have 3 minutes. He is encouraged to talk on both items during that 3-minute time, and if he goes beyond the time and you choose to extend, then that'll be your discretion.
All right.
My name is Stanley Sims. I'm at 1320 Avondale Way. I chose to speak on the 2 issues. As you all know, I'm an active member of the National Action Network. A part of our strategies is to talk about barriers in our economic depressed communities, especially communities of color. As I came before you last, I told you I've moved my position and we need to open these schools up, but we need to open these schools up safely and with better communication. I've had a very long and extensive conversation with Michelle Gale, and offer some things that we need to do. Sometimes we live in a bubble and we think that we're doing some great things because people keep saying we're doing some great things, but if 10 people don't think so, those 10 people are still important. I share with Dr. Michelle Gale my fears of when my children had the impact of FCAT. Remember that? Peggy had to almost call the cops on me, but she saw that I was so frantic. She took me in the conference room and settled me down. See, that's that old traditional teacher that comes out in you, not an administrator that pushes numbers. That's someone that knows not just their children, but their children's parents, even when their children's parents are not perfect. Try a little sensitivity. Try a little bit more caring for individuals like me. The last little part, where am I? Okay, I'm good. I'm trying to be good, ma'am. The last little part I want to talk about is this campaign you got about testing. Trusted voices. I know you all think y'all are daddy in a bag of chips, but everybody don't trust y'all. So we need to drill down. What about Miss Sadie that sit on the porch? What about Miss Carol that gives cookies to the children? What about the guy that fixes everybody's car in the neighborhood? Why not put him out there? We tired of looking at y'all. This is unprecedented times. People are hurting.
Time.
30 seconds is all I need, Madam Chair.
What I'd like to do, Ms. McKinley Williams, since he has the 6.03 item, is to have him go ahead and speak now while he's there. And
I won't even take the full 3
3
minutes.
minutes, and we can, yes, let's do that, please.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead.
We thank God for you. Because just that is already showing just a little tenderness. I don't need the 3 minutes. But I'm only asking you guys, just because you are secure doesn't mean I'm secure. So we have to educate. And when I see these numbers of these black kids thinking about suicide, Miss Bowen, I'm talking about right here. It's troubling. I want to honor my word. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sims.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Jones.
are there other persons who may be out in the foyer who may have not needed to sign up or something? Because there's quite a few people out there.
That's another group.
Another item.
Oh, okay.
That's another
Thank you,
item.
Madam Chair.
All right, so that takes care of item 5, persons to be heard. Now reports to be heard. The District Advisory Council, Janita Wells on Zoom. Ms. Wells?
I'm here.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Chair Bowen,
Good
school
evening.
board members, and Superintendent Hannah.
Yes.
This month, we had a very packed agenda, so I'm going to just go over some highlights.
All right.
And first, we always hear from Superintendent Hannah. He provided highlights on school choice, closing school-based digital academies, Leon County Schools virtual opening registration in April, and vaccination of Leon County Schools employees. We also heard from SDAC Representative Ariana Range. She provided a debrief on school-based mental health week and the upcoming district-wide mental health weeks throughout Leon County Schools. Okay. LaShawn Gordon with United Partners of Human Services provided information on how they can help support our teachers, parents, and students. Eric Clark with the Foundation of Leon County Schools discussed the wonderful partnership and initiatives that Leon County Schools has with, the foundation has with Comcast, T-Mobile, and AT&T to provide internet for our students. We heard from Heather Thomas with the marketing department and discussing the marketing initiatives that Leon County Schools has had over the last year. We also voted on 2 policies. Policy 8407 was discussed by Chief John Hunkyard and Mr. Jimmy Williams, and they provided policy language revisions, and the DAC approved those revisions. Dr. Gale provided information on a policy package 0154 and 0151, and the DAC also approved that package as well. And last and certainly not least, I presented on the legislative priorities. Ms. Lehman was part of a collaborative between the DAC, Title I Advisory Council, LTCA, the Student Advisory Council, and we've come up with a list of priorities which you will have in a draft form. And those are the priorities that we think should be given out to our parents, our parents and the teachers and Leon County school staff about the priorities that we have here in Leon County. And that was it. So if you have any questions.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Jones?
Thank you, Ms. Wells. We appreciate the great work that you all do in the District Advisory Council. Again, the fact that you are collaborating with the other citizen advisory group, the Title I Advisory Committee, again, to put forth before our community as well as our government issues that we know are germane to our children, to our families, to our students, and our school district. I want you to know that we are very, very grateful for you. We look forward to your report to us on a monthly basis, particularly as you make recommendations for policy and activity that will help to benefit our district and its work. So thank you for being a trusted voice to the Leon County School Board and to our district.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
And to add to that, thank you, Ms. Wells, for the number of years you have been involved in this wonderful work. We want to salute you and commend you for the outstanding work. And I heard through the grapevine, the street committee, whichever one is appropriate, that you may be stepping down from this position. If you have to rethink that and decide not to, it certainly would be fine with us, given your kind of leadership has been so outstanding. So we just want to thank you for what you've done and to say to you, continue to be a part of us. We do value what you bring. And do recall that we know that when the DAC speaks, we know to listen.
Thank you so much.
All right, we move along now with item 6.02, the Student District Advisory Council. Lane Schulte, are you on?
Yes,
Good.
I'm here.
Good.
Okay, so I'm just going to keep it short and sweet, but we met Wednesday, March 3rd from 11:30 to 12:30.
Yes.
And we talked about dance marathon. So Leon raised over $140,000. Childs raised $86,000. And Lincoln raised $32,000, and Rickards raised $18,000.
Okay.
So then we talked about mental health. So as I talked about last time, we had our SDAC Cares Instagram and our SDAC Mental Health Week, which was a success. And then Rickards had a mental health week the same week, and they said that that went pretty well. And then coming up, we have our spring mental health week that's put on by the county. And we talked about some different ways to improve it from last year. And then we started a new committee called the Period Project, which is basically to just make sure that there are feminine hygiene products in all of the bathrooms at the different schools in our county. So Leon has started working on that, and we're going to start stocking the bathrooms tomorrow.
That's a wonderful report. You've been quite busy, and I don't mean to cut you off. Were there other things that you've done? I suspect the details, the devil was in the details. I probably shouldn't say that. Did I hear you mention Godby, or did I just miss that? I heard 3 of the schools, I thought. Was Godby one of the schools involved in the dance marathon collection of dollars?
I don't think so. I couldn't find an Instagram account for them.
Okay. All right, then. We'll thank them for what they will probably do later on in the year. We appreciate your leadership and your forthrightness in getting to those projects that are important to students these days.
Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
If I might ask Ms. Schulte, we discussed last time discussion with the students about how they felt about prom and end of the year activities. Is there any chance you guys touched on that during your meeting?
We talked about the fact that many students would like a prom. I spoke with different people, and we had a Leon poll on our newspaper Instagram. And I think the overall consensus is that, the kids would like to have a prom, but, as safely as possible, and as long as it doesn't affect graduation, because if it becomes a super spreader event, then it's probably not worth it.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you for your wonderful work and for these school-based activities, for the way the high schools have participated in them. I'm thinking now that perhaps that was not a school-based activity for Godby. Further questions? Good job. 6.03.
Sarah, do you want to add something?
Oh, yes. What happened?
Ms. Harris wanted to add something.
Okay, Ms. Harris wanted to add something? Sure, Ms.
Yes,
Harris.
ma'am. Is Dr. Cox on?
Dr. Cox, are you on?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi. I was wondering what the current status on feminine products at the schools are in terms of like where they are and how many students can acquire.
So I'm working with Eric Clark, who's our director, the foundation director, and he is pursuing money to match a donation that came from one of our board members. And then Dr. Gale and maybe Eric as well have found a couple of the machines that we could possibly put in the girls' bathrooms. That's where we are right now. Now, in the principals meeting that we had 2 principal meetings ago, I did bring it up that typically we kept those products around different places at the high school campuses. Now, I know this is not, we want to do better than this, but typically in physical education and guidance and in the front office. Also, our warehouse stocked them for many, many years. The years I was a principal at Childs, which is, believe it or not, 10 years ago, they stocked them, but they stopped carrying them a handful of years back. So we're still reviewing the putting machines in the bathrooms, definitely getting around all the different places in the campuses. And then I have not approached the warehouse yet about them restocking those things. So that's where we are with that.
Additional questions? Dr. Cox, I'm sorry, Ms. Harris, did you have another question related to that? I do. Dr. Cox, do you think that by the end of this month there might be more of a rock solid answer as to when this might be taken care of? Can you say the end of this month, Women's History Month?
Let me tell you what. One thing we have to decide is: do we want to charge?
Do we want to charge the students?
Do we want to charge for? Right. Do we want to charge in the machines? Do we want to make them the machines where they're just free access? Do we want to charge a nickel, a dime, a quarter, whatever?
So we're not far enough in the process just yet.
Figure that out.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why right now you can get them around the school, but that piece of it we haven't verified yet. The machines they do throw a little hitch as far as that piece of it.
All right, Ms. Wood.
Well, I'm going to turn it back to Arsha, but just wanted to make everyone know that when the student leaders talked about this, they formed a committee to come back to the board with their recommendations about these issues. And Dr. Cox, I think one thing Ms. Harris was asking for was if you have a spreadsheet or something that could just tell us who's doing what so the students can know what the need is. And then I think you were going to ask about a survey, right?
Yes, I was wondering if, with your permission, if I could send out a survey to the student bodies of each school to see where they are, or where they stand with these products being in girls' bathrooms and what they would prefer.
Sure, I think that falls in line with working with Dr. Gale and the Student Advisory Council to gather that information. You know, we want to do the right thing. We want to move as quickly as possible, but we also don't want to just jump into something. We just brought this up basically a month ago as an important issue, so we want to make sure whatever we do, we want to do it right. So I would encourage you to get with Dr. Gale and get with Lane, and let's figure out how to collect some data district-wide, and then come back to us with basically an ask, right? And then we'll sit down and have a conversation about how we can make it happen.
That's great.
All right.
I think
That's
these kind of
wonderful.
projects, the more we empower our students
Absolutely.
to, do the needs and come back with recommendations that teaches them how to do that. And
Yep.
we also really like to listen to students. So thank you for
Yes,
leading the
we
way
do.
on that project.
Thank you, Ms. Harris. A good
And
project.
Amaya Wayman, I need to recognize her because she's the young woman from Rickards who sort of got this started. So they're working together along
Who
with
who was her name?
Her
again?
name is Amaya Wayman.
Okay, for the record.
And
Good.
they're working together with the other SGA students. They let me listen in on their meeting the other day, is why I know all this.
Okay.
And I'm just trying to be their cheerleader at this point.
All right, good. You're a good cheerleader.
Well, and thank you, Ms. Wood, for helping them with this process.
This
Right.
is great.
If I may add, excuse me. We currently have a track sheet where all the students can, after they go talk to their principals and their nurses, can put the information on where these products currently are. And I know Amaya has put in for Rickards, and we will have that soon. I will re-invite you to the document. I've invited Dr. Gale so you can watch over what information we're bringing in, and I will hold myself accountable by having all of them and by the next meeting so I can really have a more formal presentation of what we're trying to get here.
Okay. Wonderful. Great, great, great. Great effort and energy. Yes, very impressive. 6.04, we will have no report today. We will have an update on the 23rd of March, as well as an update of the Early Learning Leon Advisory Council on the 23rd of March, which brings us to 6.06, Radiology Associates Annual Calendar Celebration. Mr. Hannah.
Madam Chair, if I may, I see our art developer, Miss Judy Jecko, back in the back, along with some familiar faces from Tallahassee Radiology and Associates, and we know they have the annual calendar of our students' art. I would like to invite them to please come up and talk a little bit about this year's program and how things went, and how things went during our COVID year.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Superintendent Hannah. We are so excited about this wonderful partnership that we have with Radiology Associates. They have really been wonderful to elementary art teachers throughout the district. I'm not going to talk very long because I really want you to hear what Dr. Chin has to say. So I'm just going to say thank you from all of the art teachers to Radiology Associates and introduce Dr. Alan Chin to take it away.
It's good to be back. It's a little different.
Have you back. Yeah.
Nice thing is it helps my claustrophobia, so this is good. Thank you again for having me to present this $13,020 check to Leon County Schools from Radiology Associates for the 6th annual Dr. Ginaldi's Healthy Kids Arts Campaign. Some of you have been around for the inception of this program when Dr. Ginaldi came up with the idea, and for those of you not aware, Dr. Ginaldi did pass last year. He was a staple in our community, respected by his peers. It was evident that he had a strong support for the arts. You could tell if anybody's seen his office, it's full of sculptures, paintings, other artworks from all his travels, and now that those pieces have been removed, it's not the same anymore. So I'm honored here to continue the Healthy Kids Arts Campaign in his honor. So that's why the Healthy Kids Arts Campaign is now under his name. Okay. So this year, all Leon County elementary art classes were invited to create inspiring artwork based on the theme called Let's Play, which embraces outdoor activities outside of school or inside that engage the mind. There's much to learn from play as a whole. It allows children to apply concepts learned from the classroom and is important to the growth and maturity of children. So unfortunately, we were unable to have the typical formal ceremony at Radiology Associates last year, as not a secret that we had a COVID year. But it's always fun to see the kids who created the artwork. We hope to make it up to you guys this year in 2021 for the next installment. So this year we still had 12 schools that participated, and as the host and title sponsor, Radiology Associates offers a huge thank you to the other event sponsors. Obviously, this would not be possible without them. So the silver sponsors this year, and all these sponsors have come back to donate again. Silver sponsors: Tallahassee Pulmonary Clinic, Florida Cancer Specialists, Tallahassee Neurological Clinic, and the bronze sponsor is going to be Tallahassee Primary Care Associates and our friends at First Commerce Credit Union and Dr. Michael Forstoffel. Sponsor logos are included in the calendars and on school posters as reminders of their contributions. And when you meet or visit any of the sponsors, please thank them personally. So all proceeds are divided evenly, and checks are written directly to the arts programs of each of the 12 participating schools, so each school will receive $1,085. So without further ado, we have our nice fancy check that we have every year. So we'd like to present that to Leon County Schools.
Wonderful.
So,
Thank you.
I don't know if
Quite the character. He would stand there and tell jokes for about the first 10 minutes.
Yes. Okay, gonna put it right there. Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Chen and Associates, for this wonderful amount of money and the interest that you take in our schools. We appreciate it, and year after year you come back, and I believe this is bigger than last time. So, is it? That's what I thought. Wonderful. Thank you. You have some people there with you, Doug Murray and Brett Sutton. Could you just wave? Thank you, sirs. We appreciate your help as well. And, of course, thank you, Judy Jecko. All right, moving on.
I just want, Madam Chair, if I just thank you guys for continuing this tradition. And I know these dollars will be well spent in our arts programs as our teachers look to do special things with our children. But just want to thank you for your continued support. It means a lot.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Superintendent. Girls on the Run.
Madam Chair, I see a former Leon Lion here tonight. The Executive Director of Girls on the Run, Miss Jennifer Powell, is here to talk about what exciting things they have going on in our schools. So,
That's
Ms.
right.
Powell.
Wonderful.
Well, thank you so much for having us. It's actually been 1 year since I came and spoke with you guys about sharing the vision for the Girls on the Run Panhandle expansion to serve more girls. I've been in this position for 2 years now, and we had big dreams. When I took on this position, I didn't realize it would be my hardest job to date, but absolutely the most rewarding. It sort of goes the same with life. The hardest feats are our greatest victories. So we set out to rock our new plan and the new structure with solid ideas, but again, we were impacted like the rest of the world. The beauty is, if anyone can handle a life-altering pandemic, Girls on the Run can. Instead of closing our doors, which at times seemed a whole lot easier, we dove back down to the roots of what we teach our girls in our program. We implemented the lessons that we teach them: visualization, positive mindset, mindfulness, empathy for others, intentional decision-making, team connection, leading with an open heart, standing up for ourselves and others, and nurturing our physical, emotional, and spiritual health. When we use the skills that we teach our girls year after year, we knew that the race would be difficult but not impossible. So today, we come just to bring joy, optimism, and gratitude to this board meeting. We believe that leading with this is what will bring us to the next finish line to start our new race. So we continue to serve where we can serve, and we look forward to the possibilities of being back in all the schools sometime soon. We will serve this season in 5 of our Title I schools, 2 virtual teams, 1 charter school, and 2 off-campus opportunities for our girls. Our core values guide our way, and we stand firm in the long-standing commitment to each and every girl that want to participate in our program. We value the dignity and humanity of all people and our dedication to being an inclusive, diverse, equitable, and accessible in our board, staff, and in our program. We believe our social and emotional program is needed now more than ever. Success not only comes in education, but the skills to manage the challenges ahead: self-belief in ourselves, a safe space to feel heard, and a community where every girl fits in. So we come with gratitude to the board for allowing us access to serve our community of young rock stars. So from Girls on the Run Panhandle, we thank you today. I have a couple of my servant leaders that have been with our organization for many, many seasons. Evangeline Wiggins from Astoria Park, and she brought one of her graduate rock stars. And then Heather Jackson, who is now our program coordinator, who started out as a coach, and her dream was to be a program coordinator. And she also brought one of her rock stars today. So they're just going to say a few words.
Wonderful.
Good evening. Thank you for having us. My name is Evangeline Wiggins. I'm an ESC teacher at Astoria Park, and I've been a volunteer coach with Girls on the Run for about 5 years, maybe a little longer. I've lost track. And I'm inspired by the program. It has a Title I school. We usually have a lot of girls come from a lot of low-income single-family homes and things of that nature. Not that any of that is a negative influence, but the program has had a positive effect on our girls, and just to see them grow and to see them be, a lot of it is being part of a group of girls that are similar, similar backgrounds, or just meeting as girls to express themselves and then get out and have fun out on the field running. We have a great support. Jen has been awesome in her time serving. She's engaged with every aspect. She wants to hear from us, from the coaches. She wants to engage the girls in a lot of different activities. And I have continued to support not only for directors like Jen, but also for the girls. And at Astoria Park, I don't have to advertise my recruitment. They come to me, and they're coming to me before I even get noticed that the season is starting up. So it has been very positive at Astoria Park. And I want to introduce one of my team members who has been with us for about this may be our 4th season, and she has yet to do a 5K. Why? Mother Nature just hasn't worked for us. So we've had storms, and now we're dealing with the pandemic. But each season, Serenity asked for an application, and I invited her to come before you guys to share her excitement, her enthusiasm, and her experience. Serenity Daniels.
Hi, my name is Serenity Daniels. I'm 11 years old, and what I love about Girls on the Run is the ability to make bonds and friendships with other people. It has taught me about good health and to be strong. And also, one of my favorite lessons was dealing with things when it gets tough, and you have to have effort and have to stay calm.
Thank you, Serenity.
Thank you.
That was beautiful. Beautiful.
Happy Tuesday, Superintendent Rocky Hanna and my fellow Leon County board members. How are we feeling today?
Wonderful.
All right, I'm hearing some joy in those voices, and that is exactly what we are here to spread this evening as our fearless leader, Miss Jennifer Powell, introduced us all so wonderfully. My name is Coach Joyful Jackson. By day, I am a 5th grade math and science teacher at Clarn Lakes Elementary, but by afternoon hours, with waivers signed, I am a joyful coach of Girls on the Run Panhandle, and I'm so happy to be here with you all today. It is such an honor to get to share just a few of our experiences, but Mrs. Wiggins said it beautifully. It is more about our girls and what they can share with us and what they can teach us. As many of you may know, and Mr. Superintendent Hanna, I know you know as a past teacher, the best things, the best lessons that we can teach are ones that we actually learn from our own students. So with Girls on the Run, it goes so much further than textbooks and classrooms, and we are so grateful to get to be here with you all. I love Girls on the Run because I love being a part of a program and an organization that lifts girls up, and they can learn how to lift themselves up on their own and together as a team. And what better way than to tell you a little bit about that herself. Miss Energetic Emma is here to tell you a little bit about her experience, and we have an energy award to do with you all this evening.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Emma. I'm 11 years old. My favorite activity on Girls on the Run was the Healthy Habits one, where you sign your initials about your activities that you're working on and what you want to do better. An example is brushing your teeth and eating healthy. My favorite thing about Girls on the Run is the teachers, and I get to run with my friends and have fun.
Wonderful. Yes, Miss Emma.
Okay, so our Energy Award this afternoon, this evening. Energy Awards are really fun, special things that the girls actually get to pick at the end of every lesson. So after every Girls on the Run lesson, your coaches will choose a girl that we felt like shined extra bright, really led, really showed that confidence, really showed that growth in practice, which is every girl every day. But we love to make sure that they feel special and really feel like they're empowered and that they can lead their fellow young girls. So Energy Award this evening is our special shopping cart. Miss Emmy, you want to lead with me? We have our shopping cart. You pretend like you're shopping, of course. We have space that we want to deal with here. All right, ready? Essentials only. Ready, Miss Emma?
Essentials only.
Bacon, eggs. Girls on the Run is so much fun. Again, bacon, eggs. Girls on the Run is so much fun.
Oh, wow. Oh, my. Denver, could we please get a picture of the tutu and the jeans, please? Please. All right. Yes. Is there more of that energy? Okay, thanks.
Ask and you shall receive.
There's plenty. There's plenty
Of
to
course.
give. Absolutely.
Great.
One thing that Ms. Powell failed to mention, Mr. Jones, you'll appreciate this, is 100% of our Title I schools have these programs free of charge. And that's out of, no, that's that. You may applaud. There you go.
So I'm sorry, you finished, Mr. Superintendent?
I just want to thank Jennifer for your leadership and the direction you've moved this program. It's infectious, and we will get back to normal next year, I promise you. But you're surviving the storm, all of us together, and still making an impact on young women's lives. And we're just so thankful and appreciative to everyone that plays a part of this. I had an opportunity to work with a third grader at Riley Elementary School a couple years ago, and she took off and left me on the 5K. But it is an amazing program, and what it gives to these young women is just phenomenal. But it wouldn't happen without you all and all your support and guidance and mentorship. So we're very appreciative.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Jones.
I'd also like to thank them for what they do. You see, I'm representing Title I schools today with my shirt, but I'm very, very grateful for what you're doing. I'm grateful also for the engagement. I see my very good friend, Miss Micelle Green, who all of us know is our own local Olympian.
Totally.
A graduate of the Florida State University, a track star and accomplished a woman in her own right, providing leadership at Talcon Electric. I noticed that your current chair is Stephanie Bowden. With
she's chair.
She's my, well, it said chair elect up here, and it says.
She's the chair of our program and services. So
I think all of y'all are great. You are great. I think Stephanie Bowden is great. We also know about what has been her impactful work in our community, particularly through Comcast, and helping us with bridging the digital divide. So it's just a wonderful organization. I'm grateful for the community engagement, and most of all, grateful for your engagement in our Title I schools.
We most certainly are. Mr. Jones just stole my thoughts that I was going to have with all of this energy in the room. We thank you, and we encourage young women to continue to be a part of what you do. Ms. Wiggins, it's good to see you. How many girls now do you have in the whole program? Could we know that? I probably missed it.
Well, so our enrollment is starting now, so we'll start our season at the end of March, and it'll go through May.
All right, good.
Yep, so we'll know soon.
That's great.
Yes.
And Ms. Green, it's also good to see you. We have a special connection through some other organizations, and it's good to have you all here. Because I do believe if you can see it, you can be it.
Yep.
Okay?
Self-belief.
I can see how that would be part of what you would talk about in your groups, right?
That's right.
With all of that energy. Come back soon. Keep up the good work.
Will. Thank you so
each
much.
of you.
Sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Oh, we have a small token for you guys.
I'm going to leave a bunch of shirts.
Oh.
You're spoiling
A
us.
shirt? Good. I need a 3X, please. Okay. That's wonderful. All right. We appreciate you and all you do. Be safe. Bye-bye.
You guys stay safe.
Thanks now. Bye. Good job.
Thank you, Marcel.
God, yes. That's your sister, you know. Okay, now we move on. Yes, she is. To 6.08. Yes, she is. Second annual Mighty Meals Program. Mr. Superintendent?
Madam Chair, I believe we have Miss Samantha Sexton on with us to talk about the second annual Mighty Meals Program.
That's where we are. Is she on Zoom? Yes. She is. Miss Sexton, are you on? We're listening for you.
You appear to be muted.
You muted? Hello?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Thank
hear
you.
you now. Thank
Interesting. Well, I thank you for this evening and thank you for the warm welcome. Again, my name is Samantha Sexton, and I currently serve our community as this year's president for the Junior League of Tallahassee. And while I will not match the excitement that Girls in the Run just brought to the meeting this evening, we are a proud former partner of theirs, and that's actually where I got my start within the Junior League of Tallahassee about 7 years ago. So I commend them for the work that they continue to do. And like us, an organization that's 400 strong, we are celebrating women, we are celebrating girls, but our mission is really calling us on a daily basis to impact the lives of children and family here in our community, which is why I am excited this evening to share with you that on Saturday, March 13th from 9 a.m. to noon, the Junior League will actually execute our second annual Mighty Meals event, and this will be an expanded version. Last year, we launched Mighty Meals in March of 2020, so truly on the toes of the pandemic. But we did so because we recognize a need in our community. And we decided to stand up an opportunity that would provide food and nutritious meals for our students and families over that spring break gap. And so this year's event, we will actually be at 2 unique sites, so Riley Elementary and Sable Palm, serving more than 250 unique families, specifically in the 3204 zip code. I will say we are also only able to do this because of the great principals and guidance counselors that helped us identify children and families at these 2 schools, but also at Sale. We felt that it was important to ensure that our reach was broad, but also one that we were able to actually meet and serve. And if you're not personally intimately involved with Mighty Meals, how we've been raising money, raising awareness for the event, or if you were unable to participate in our inaugural event last year, I just want to briefly showcase or highlight, I should say, the fact that Mighty Meals was developed to alleviate food insecurity and provide access to nutritious food and meals, along with educational materials to Leon County students. We hope that our expansion and distribution sites this year will lead to much success, and with the partnership of our local chamber, the Florida Farm Bureau, and many, many donors, some that I've even heard this evening, we will continue to be able to expand our Mighty Meals box distribution. And this box that I keep referencing, it is actually chock full of dry, cold, and frozen food items that will actually provide meals, so 3 times a day for 7 days, up to 4 members in that family. And I hope that you as school board members have received our invitation to join us this Saturday at 9 a.m. at Riley. We have a basically sold out event, and we look forward to serving our community that way. And with that, that wraps up my presentation.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Jones.
I want to thank the women of the Tallahassee Junior League. I was with them last year for their inaugural event. Had opportunity to see them at work and to see the impact. And I'm delighted that they've now subsequently have retooled the way that they're making that an even more demonstrable impact at our schools and help serving our children and our families. So thank you again, and I look forward to sharing with you yet again this year.
Madam Chair.
Ms. Strickland?
Thank you. If I might echo that, Ms. Sexton is another just jewel of our community and so active and involved. She is a part of many, many organizations that are solely here to help the well-being and health of our children. I mean, that is their focus, and they work tirelessly to aid these children. And we, like you, Mr. Jones, little part of being their inaugural year last year, and look forward to it growing this year. And thank you, Samantha, and to the entire Junior League for everything you guys do for our community. We appreciate you.
Wonderful. Wonderful endorsements of the wonderful work you do, Ms. Sexton. Thank you so much. Saturday, Raleigh Elementary School at 9 o'clock. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Superintendent, district updates. Pillar 4, is that where we are?
Pillar 4, yes ma'am, Madam Chair. So Pillar 4 of our strategic plan that we know expires at the end of this fiscal year is an engaged community. And as you well know, we have done a lot in this effort over the course of the last several years. We started by hiring a marketing coordinator, Ms. Heather Thomas, that could help us engage with all the stakeholders we have in our community. We've enhanced our website. We had a Safe Schools Reopening webpage, so a Safe Start page, so that all of our folks, our parents and students and community members knew exactly the things we had put in place over the course of the summer through our task force on the safe reopening of our schools. We've expanded our broadcast to include social media, Facebook, and YouTube. You'll also be happy to know, Madam Chair, that we are in negotiations with the City of Tallahassee to begin also broadcasting live back on Comcast. Yes. So we're going to work together with city and county government to share that channel, to provide for those that might not have access to social media platforms. We moved our district to 1-to-1 We've also moved to Canvas, as Ms. Marshall spoke earlier tonight, that we are parked in one place. The messages we're seeing that we'll be able to send out via our student information system, which is Focus, along with Remind and other things that we're able to do to contact and engage with both our students and our parents. And then we've expanded our advisory council. Years ago, we had a district advisory council and a student advisory council. We now, at the urging of Mr. Jones and others, we have a Title I advisory council. We have an exceptional student education advisory council and an early learning advisory council. And that's just engaging more folks, bringing more people into the fold that have expertise in our community in these areas. And then we also have continued our training session and dialogue with Mr. Voss and Associates. So the second goal is to increase community involvement throughout Leon County schools. And, we have we have meetings, our quarterly meetings with the mayor of the city of Tallahassee, Mr. Daly, along with the Leon County Commission and others, the city manager, the county administrator, to talk about issues that we are all facing in this community, whether it be homelessness, food insecurities for our children, and other issues, now vaccinations, ensuring that our employees are being vaccinated. So that's been a wonderful partnership. We've also, as you know, have partnerships throughout our community with, just as an example, the Leon County Health Department, which on Saturday I was with them as we offered 1,500 employees age 50 and over the opportunity to be vaccinated, and it was a wonderful event. So thank you for that, Mr. Jones. But them, along with the Tallahassee Fire Department and the EMS right next door, it was just seamless. And so we're very thankful now more than ever to our strong relationship with the Leon County Health Department. We also know we have with both neighborhood and bond community health care, we have wonderful partnerships with them. Second harvest of the Big Bend. I mean, we could go on and on. The expansion of the backpack program, and a lot of this has been done with the oversight of Dr. Gale, along with Farm Share. And so not only have we committed ourselves to feeding our children, but others in the community that are in dire need of food and resources. We've also strengthened our relationships with President Thrasher at Florida State, President Robinson at FAMU, and President Murdaugh at TCC. We've had annual meetings, at least I've met annually with them to talk about our relationships and partnerships and how those can be strengthened and what we can do to help each other, help our children as they matriculate through our school system. We also have a great relationship with Tallahassee Memorial Hospital, Capital Regional Medical, and some of these were brokered really over the course of the summer during this pandemic, which kind of brought us all together as a community to focus on issues, and none more important than the safe reopening of our schools. And so those relationships that we forged this summer will go on to last well after this pandemic is coming on. We also have a strong relationship with United Way of the Big Bend. You just heard from the Junior League of Tallahassee and the things they're doing to help in our schools. Girls on the Run just left, and we've had increased partnerships with both civic and faith-based organizations. In addition, we've created the new Internet for All program, sponsored by the Foundation of Leon Schools, and our partnership, as you mentioned, Mr. Jones, earlier, with Comcast, Ms. Bowden at Comcast Essentials, and T-Mobile and AT&T. We have extended our summer feeding program and trying to get food out to the students in our digital academies. As you well know, we've created and brought to the finish line our first community partnership at Sable Palm Elementary School with the help of the Children's Home Society, both Florida State and FAMU. We're exploring the expansion of a second community partnership at John G. Riley Elementary School, hopefully in the very near future. We're excited about the opportunity that a Children's Services Council is going to bring to us, and also bring into the fold the Early Learning Coalition and all the private providers that work so closely with those children in the formative years of 0 to 5. The big support we have shown for the South City Foundation and expanding the property at Wesson Elementary School to include services that will be provided by that group, along with what Ms. Bruner and her team of early learners are doing at that facility. Dr. Gale is in the process of implementing Leon County Schools Citizens Academy, so that the people on the outside really get a close look behind the curtain to see what the wonderful things that are going on in our schools. And then to expand what we're doing with the foundation. The director, Eric Clark, has done amazing work with our foundation in building partnerships. An example of that is the now annual donation we've received from Ballard Partners of $50,000 that our social workers tap into to those resources to help our families with needs that otherwise would not be met. And so we're thankful to the partnership we have with Ballard Partners and Associates, with that family, and we just look to continue to build on the great work that we've done over the last many years as a school system to embrace and to use those resources that have been at our fingertips. And so I'm proud of this report. I'm proud of the things, but our work is not yet finished, and we will continue to look for ways to expand our reach and to bring others into the fold as we think outside of the box and don't no longer operate in a silo. That it's all of us working together. So with that, I'll take any questions you may have on an engaged community, Pillar 4, an engaged community, and when we come back, I'll finish after spring break with our final pillar that involves financial responsibility and transparency.
Okay. One quick question, Mr. Superintendent. The number of our school employees that took advantage of the vaccination Saturday at the health department, could you speak to that, please?
So that's a good transition into our reopening, whatever we're calling it these days.
Okay.
And I know I have Dr. Cox on. We now have had an opportunity to vaccinate over 40% of our 4,500 employees, which is right, which is good, which is exciting, right? We also know that a number of other employees are taking advantage of things outside of what we've arranged for at Florida A&M, at the Lawson Center, at CVS, at Walmart, at Publix, through their primary physicians. So that number is going to be much greater than 40%. We know at the very least we have given opportunities to all of our employees, which is around 1,700 or 1,750 that we have of age 50 and above. And then we'll look, and Dr. Cox, you might want to weigh in on what the future is going to look like. But I think we're going to be in a really good place by the end of this month. So Dr. Cox, take it away. Yeah, you want to ask a question?
Are we about to leave the pillar?
Yeah, we won't leave the pillar until you're ready to leave. So
okay.
No, go ahead. So let's don't leave the pillar if you have a question about it.
Okay. Well, I mean,
or a comment.
I saw the natural segue, but I just had to say something about what was your exceptional report. I think we all, as a board and as a community, have been grateful for what has been the continuing engagement between our community and our district, and the impact that it has had on our families. And I will remind my colleagues that we remember when we thought that our children would be coming back after spring break. And then the district, Dr. Gale, and working in cooperation with folks like Seventh Harvest, we realized most immediately that there was going to be a food issue for our children. And the entire community was engaged. Dr. Gale and you marshaled enormous resources to the benefit of our kids and their families when they and I dare say, although it is not intended to sound cliche, but because we knew the invaluable resource that our schools are to our Title I children who count on our schools to feed them, I just thought that that began the ball to rolling. It was by our civic example and us making a clarion call to our neighbors, we saw the type of community response that has endured here some nearly a year later. And I think the district can be proud of its using its heft and authority to make certain that our community remembers our children. And I think that you, Superintendent, have done a fantastic job in that regard most personally. being the face of the district, and not ever compromising on making certain that our students, our teachers, and the families that they come from are being well served, and that their needs stay at the forefront. I'm reminded how when the conversation regarding vaccines in this community, it was you who made certain that the powers that be and those persons who marshaled those resources most specifically did not forget our teachers. And so I just want to applaud you and your team, Dr. Gale, and all of the assistant superintendents whose faces have become more recognizable because they share in that mission of putting forth the issues surrounding our children and families. It has been a collective effort that has had enormous impact, and our children, our families, our teachers can be grateful for that type of engagement. And I just think that pillar is of particular concern for me because I know the benefits it has had most specifically in my district and at my schools and serving my families.
Well, I appreciate those comments, Mr. Jones, and we're going to continue to look for creative ways. And we said this to tell our story. It's a beautiful story. It's an amazing story. But how can we find ways to let people know the wonderful things that are going on in our traditional public schools? Because they're absolutely amazing opportunities for children.
And if I may say one more thing, okay. This will be my final thing, Ms. Wood. I also want to acknowledge again what was our shared collaborative effort when we convened the task force to help to inform what would be our rollout. I think harnessing that type of community expertise, when we think about the impacts that we have witnessed in school districts across our country, I think it was that kind of harnessing. I think about Alva made certain that somebody was from TMH, and there were other persons whose subject matter expertise from the community, from the academy, all came together to help inform our rollout, our safe steps. And I just want to acknowledge those community volunteers again as we talk about engagement, and all of our citizen advisory committees, but that task force that was convened ad hoc and its impact on what was our rollout.
Well said. Ms. Wood.
Mr. Jones is our great summarizer. So we thank you, Mr. Jones, for summarizing what all of us are feeling about this report and all the good things that have gone on in the community. And I'll just be the person that says I can't wait to see those summarized comments on our webpage for our annual report, because you've given one now the last 5 times or 4 times.
That's right.
And, I think it's one more way to share with the community who aren't necessarily watching this meeting, to be able to go to the Leon County Schools website and see what's been done over the last year. So I'm just going to bring that up every time because I just think it's important.
And you have my assurance that will be accomplished by the end of the month.
By the end of the month. I just think it's important. It's good stuff, and we need to know. Right. And the other thing I would add is, I guess I'm on a survey kick, but it's that time of the year, and I don't know what we're planning to do with the climate survey. It's kind of an odd year to do a climate survey, but I think there's some things we could learn by asking parents and students and teachers, if we don't do the whole regular one, just like what's gone well and, what could we improve on? Because it just is always good to get feedback. And I don't think we should, while everybody's still tuning in to the computer and, just a few survey questions to really hear from people.
Right.
I think that would be valuable.
I agree.
So noted.
Further comments? Good job, Mr. Superintendent. Continuing on.
All right, Dr. Cox, you want to kind of give the board an update, then we can answer any questions they may have of how we're moving forward with vaccinations and all things COVID?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like Superintendent said, we had a 65 and older offering, and then we had a 50 and older offering. And we're in the process of putting together a list of the federal sites that everybody else can get their vaccinations. Now, as more and more, and so we're 41% offerings to staff in our district. Many have reached out and found other places to get those vaccinations. So as more and more get vaccinated, our numbers reflect that, not just in the school system, but in the Tallahassee, Leon County area. Coco, are you on?
You see Coco McClellan?
Trying to, let's see.
We can hear you.
Hi there.
she
Sorry
is.
about that. Yes, I'm here.
So Coco's going to just, as we've been doing for the last several board meetings, she's going to quickly go over some numbers, hot off press, and then I want to end it with some information from CDC now that people are getting vaccinated. And I'll tell you the most commonly asked questions that we are getting in my office. Go, Coco.
Okay. So we've been discussing at the different school board meetings our latest results for Leon County versus Florida. So currently in our last report at the Department of Health, Florida positivity rates for COVID as of 3/7 is 5.95%. For Leon County, we are at 3.05%. And that's down from 3.8% last week. So looking really, really good. The other information we've been reporting on, the highest percentages continue to be in the 18 to 24 age group. Currently of the positivities, that's 34.6%. And the PCR average wait time to get your results back from a PCR test currently in Leon County is 1.3 days. So everything is looking pretty good overall for Leon County as opposed to the state.
Coco, do you have real quick? Hold on, Alan. Coco, do you have any numbers for age groups under 18? I saw some of those that were very encouraging.
I do, and I can pull them up really quick and get them to you guys here in just a few minutes. I just don't have it right at my fingertips, but I'll get to the other computer and get it on for you all.
That's okay. That's all right. I mean, I just know that some of the numbers that I saw recently were very low. I mean, less than 3%.
Yeah, it's definitely going in a good direction.
Okay. So one thing we're getting ready for, of course, is we have spring break coming up, and we do expect a small spike, right, Coco? Small peak, probably. You know, nothing like it was after the winter break, which we knew was going to be a lot. Any comment on that, Coco, on that piece of it?
I think everybody just, everybody's tired of COVID, but we have to stay the road and stay the course, because what we've been doing here in Leon County is clearly working and making a difference. And so this is our last hurdle, really, as we're moving forward in this school year, with people going off for spring break, going different places, and just making sure that people still continue to follow all the CDC guidance and recommendations.
I have a question when there's.
So very briefly.
Ms. Wood?
Should I continue on?
Dr. Cox, and this, I'm not sure who this question's for. I know when you get your vaccine, you get a little card from the health department or wherever you get it. My question is, are we planning as a school district to gather that information? Maybe this is even a question to our attorney, but to find out if, how many of our teachers and staff are vaccinated. Do we have a plan for that? Same with the kids. I just don't know what the protocols are and that sort of thing.
Right. So I had just I've just been asked that recently about if we know. I think it was John Hunk who asked me today. No, I don't. We have folks that have gotten the vaccination from different districts,
Alabama,
from all the places, from overflow, from places, because the one vaccine is pulled in 10 shot vials, and so they only gave 7. They had to do something with the other 3. And I have several employees that have contacted me and said, "Well, we just hung around my doctor's office. We just hung around public." We tried to formalize that process about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and nobody would do that with us. I mean, we tried to get it where, and I'm not going to name any institutions, they would call us and we could shoot people over to them, but nobody wanted to formalize that direction. So short answer is no, I have not pursued trying to find out exactly who all has vaccination.
I don't know what the legal issues are there, but it seems like if we ask for voluntarily anyway, if people would, if we just ask the question, have you been vaccinated, we could find that out. And I don't know if there's anything, we couldn't force people to answer it, but I'm wondering if we could ask if they're willing to to let us know so we have an idea of how many of our employees are vaccinated.
I would imagine there's not any prohibition against asking and folks volunteering that information. The one thought, a couple of thoughts. One, because it's volunteer in nature, you can't rely on the number that you get, because people can volunteer to give it and choose not to. And then secondarily, they can volunteer to give us the information. I would then be concerned about us protecting the information. It is medical, it's health information. It's not student information, but it is health information. So I would want to make sure that the district is protecting that information and not otherwise disclosing it or allowing there to be any kind of breach or anything. But I think the first issue is more of a pragmatic issue. You can volunteer, you can ask folks to produce that information, and some may not. That doesn't give you a reliable number, though.
All right, well, maybe there could be more thought about that, because I think there's some level of comfort in knowing, other people, there's certain protocols you can do now. I guess we're about to talk about that if people in the room are vaccinated, with, being able to take masks off and less social distancing. So if there's a way for us to find that out, I would encourage us to figure it out.
So at this point, hearing the response and the question, people sue for whatever reasons they want to sue. And in as much as there's not a law that says we must know who has been vaccinated, who has not been in the schools, I don't know if that protects or if that puts us in a liability position or not. We just go on the volunteerness of what we're trying to do.
I don't believe there's any, I'm not aware of anything that gives us the authority to demand the information, certainly. And again, when we're dealing with asking for information and people choosing to disclose or not disclose,
we have to protect it.
We have to protect it, yes. But then, I think the question is raised. If there's not an obligation to disclose and there's not a way for us to verify, I would be careful about relying on information that's just shared, that's just volunteered, and using that as a basis to remove CDC guideline precautions that have been established by the CDC. To your point, Madam Chair, about potential liability. If
I'm
we're
looking way
relying
down the
on,
road, like next year. I'm just wondering.
Yeah. So I think the information can be helpful, but I don't know that we would have reliable information that we could actually use, and I would caution against using it to do anything that would walk us back from the guidelines that have been established.
Well, and if I may also add, Madam Chair and Superintendent and colleagues, because of whatever may very well be any angst that anyone feels regarding the vaccination, when the question has been asked of me, I've deferred that any guidance that any rules that we would follow regarding that would be guidance that we would either get from the federal or state government regarding vaccinations, and the requirement or the mandating of any such sharing of information or acknowledging it or how it's reported and stuff like that. And I figured that would then provide us with, particularly as listener Attorney Williams talked further, provides us the protection of policy that is beyond our district. That we would seek that guidance from authorities higher than ourselves, such that we do not create any undue precedents or undue,
Yeah, that makes sense.
That was just
I'm just raising the question.
because that's what I've been telling teachers.
I'm just
who've asked
raising the
me
question
about
for us to think about. I didn't expect an answer tonight.
It's a good discussion. All right. Oh,
Dr. Cox, you want to add anything else?
Yeah, let me. We were going on this. So you had this came straight from the CDC. It's a question that I'm getting a lot since more and more folks are being vaccinated. People are considered fully vaccinated 2 weeks after their second dose. So 2 weeks after their second dose in both Pfizer and Moderna vaccines. Now, Johnson & Johnson's coming out pretty heavily here, and it's a single-dose vaccine, but it's 2 weeks after that as well. So that's the definition of fully vaccinated. If it has been less than 2 weeks since your shot, or if you still need to get a second shot, you're not fully vaccinated, even though we know that with Moderna and Pfizer, most of the protection is from the first application, the first dose. We're still learning how vaccines will affect the spread of COVID. Big question I'm getting is, can I carry? If I'm fully vaccinated, can I carry? That's the question. So straight from CDC, still learning how vaccines will affect the spread of COVID-19. After you've been fully vaccinated against COVID-19, you should keep taking precautions in public places. You should wear your mask, still stay 6 feet apart from others, and avoid crowd and poorly ventilated spaces. So they're still recommending that. Now, what's changed? If you've been fully vaccinated, what has changed for you? Here's what they're saying. You can gather indoors with fully vaccinated people without wearing a mask. So in my hallway at the district office, everybody in there has now been vaccinated. That group of people and I, we can meet. We can meet together without a mask, according to this guideline. You can gather indoors with unvaccinated people from one other household. And for example, visiting with relatives who all live together without masks. That can be kind of confusing. But for the most part, if everybody is vaccinated, you don't have to have a mask there. What else has changed? If you've been around someone who has COVID-19, do not need to stay away from other people's get tested unless you have symptoms. Okay. So the big questions has been, if I've been in the past, if I broke the bubble, the 6 feet, 15 minutes, or been in contact with somebody, I was an exposure and I had to go to quarantine. If I've been fully vaccinated, I don't have to do that anymore. In most cases, CDC's, they're pretty sharp when they put in here that there are exceptions to that. But for the most part, if I've been fully vaccinated, I'm not an exposure risk. I don't have to go through the quarantine anymore. All right, what hasn't changed? Let's see. You should still take steps to protect yourself and others in many situations. That's wearing a mask, staying 6 feet away, avoiding crowded and poorly ventilated spaces. Take these precautions whenever you are in public, still those kind of things, gathering with unvaccinated people, visiting with unvaccinated person who has an increased risk of severe illness. And the reason they're saying this is this is so new, they're still not 100% sure just because I'm fully vaccinated, I can't put the disease on somebody else. So if I'm around folks who are at risk for severe illness from it, I want to still wear a mask, still keep my 6 feet, all those things. Should still avoid medium and large size gatherings, should still delay domestic international travel. That's interesting. Should still watch out for symptoms of COVID-19, especially if you've been around someone who is sick. Basically, they're recommending we still follow all the guidelines that we put in place. The big difference is if I'm fully vaccinated and I'm with unvaccinated people, I can probably take my mask off. And of course, I don't have to quarantine if exposed on most situations. Finally, what we know and what we're still learning. We're still learning how effective the vaccine are against variants. We've all heard about the variants, right? Mm-hmm. Early data shows the vaccines may work against some of them, but could be less effective against others. We're still learning how well COVID-19 vaccine keeps people from spreading the disease. Early data shows the vaccines may help keep people from spreading COVID-19, but we're learning more and more as more and more people get vaccinated. And I know that a lot of people hearing this or in this room have been vaccinated. Remember, there was a little survey. I don't know if you took it or not. It's important to take those little surveys after the vaccination because that's how they plan on getting a lot of their data and their information. So the good news is they're turning out articles now about vaccinations since more and more of the country is getting vaccinated. That's the good news. But we still need to be on our guard all the way to the end. Coca, did you have those numbers that was asked by the board?
I do. I've got them. Okay. So we were talking about the percentage in the age groups, and I did mention that currently the highest age group was the 18 to 24-year-olds. But when you're going down, 14 to 17-year-olds, 4.4%. 11 to 13-year-olds, 1.9%. 5 to 10-year-olds, 2.9%, and 1 to 4 is 2.1%. So our numbers are looking good, especially in the school age students.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Ms. Strickland.
So, Superintendent, what does this mean for our schools, for our students, for anything different that our families should know about?
Nothing.
Okay, perfect. That's what I want to know.
We are not changing one thing. I don't care if you've had 18 shots. You're still going to wear your mask.
Good.
We're still going to social distance. We're still going to do quarantining. We're still going to do the 72 hours for employees. They go get the PCR test. I mean, I don't think we change a single thing from now through the end of the school year. Even if all of a sudden the wind blows and it all just goes away. We're going to do what we've been doing until we close up shop in June.
Okay. If I could ask too, I know that we were looking at addressing when I asked Lane, if the students had any weigh in on prom. We're still having that continuing dialogue on end of the year.
So the principal's charge was to get feedback from their student leaders between now and up through Friday, and then I'll circle back with the principals after spring break to talk about some things we may be able to pull off
after spring break.
Spring break, right?
All right. The last question would be: I know that towards the end of the year, Leon County Schools often allows outside groups to use some of our facilities for end of the year things.
No.
That is no go this year.
No, and they're going to have some talks, I believe, tomorrow with the principals about summers. EDEP programs, and we used to have those like the middle schools had the Bucks camp or the this camp, which is kind of like an orientation for fifth graders going into sixth grade, to have a discussion about those types of things. I'm inclined that we will be able to offer more than we did last summer, but we again want to tread very, very carefully. But we do want to get our kids in programs that are good for them over the course of the summer. So we'll have those discussions with principals tomorrow and then report back to you all right after spring break.
And as far as like churches that meet in our schools, dance groups that have recitals, music groups, that is a no-go until further notice.
Correct.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And they're being notified of this as we speak, so that the expectations won't be raised or lowered in any way. How are you planning to do that, Mr. Superintendent?
They've been put on notice last spring that we stopped renting our facilities and things like that. So until we're given the green light, we're going to stick with what we've been doing.
Great. May I just add very quickly to this, not only do I thank Dr. Cox and Coco for the thorough and detailed information that they have provided, but for those who are listening to us, and who may not think that this disease is as real as they hear about it, some of us have experienced up close and personal the I don't want to overkill, but I do want to say that the vaccines are important, and I hope that folk will take them so that life can be sustained, okay, and the quality of that life. So I hope that they will take this seriously and will consider taking this vaccine. Nobody is paying me to say that. I just believe in CDC's words and science, and just hope that you can know that many of us have cousins and family members who have passed away as a result of this disease. I don't want to over-personalize, but I do, because we live in this community together, and we want everybody to be safe. And so for those parents who just can't quite see their way, and kids are everywhere, and people are coming in and out of homes, do take every precaution, every measure that you can to keep yourselves and your children safe, so that when you send them back to us in the school community, everybody can be safe. Okay? And I just needed to personally
Madam Chair,
say that. Yes.
One more note on this little sidebar on the vaccinations. We received an email today from for the Human Service Agencies, and it appears CVS, Walmart, CVS, Walmart, and Sam's Club is vaccinating with appointments, but it is anyone has anything to do with education, and I believe there is no age limit. Am I correct, Dr. Gill?
Yeah, you are. So what happened was the federal government ran into the state government. So you had Biden trumped DeSantis, right? No pun intended. Because Biden opened it up to everyone, which what we want, but DeSantis has not issued an executive order supporting everyone, just 50 and above.
You're talking about school employees now.
School employees, yeah. So if you're going to those locations, I believe those that you mentioned, so our people don't have to drive to Alabama anymore or drive to Georgia anymore to be vaccinated. But yes, there are those groups that are operating under the federal guidelines and not the state guidelines. The Department of Health, however, has to operate under the jurisdiction of the governor.
And that's doing.
But there are plenty of opportunities for those people. They'll find them. Trust me, they'll find them.
Yeah, it was, and Walmart, I believe, is setting up an all-day this coming Saturday. But there is links online I can forward. It can be sent out to the district. It is anyone in education, teachers, and support staff. So it is.
Yes.
They have blanketed any pre-K,
Yeah.
preschools, private schools. I mean, it is anyone that has anything to do with education, and there is no age limit, I believe.
Right,
on that.
because I think the thoughts about last Saturday were from some of the people that was just for teachers and teachers only.
Right.
So now this would pick
Right.
up those folks. Great information.
Dr. Gill. Okay. Should we send that out to districts? Okay.
Yeah, so I think Dr. Cox, if we have a list of different agencies that are doing different programs, we can send something out tomorrow before spring break, so they'll have the whole week to get by one of those locations.
All right, Dr. Cox, I'm going to forward you this email from Amber Tynan at UPHS just so you have what she sent out to the human service agencies.
Thanks.
Wonderful. All right, you're back on, Mr. Superintendent.
I think I'm good. Mr. Jones, did you have a question?
No comment?
Anyone else?
All right. I'm sorry. Okay, good reporting, Mr. Superintendent. Wonderful information, great discussion. We are now at item 7.
I move items of consent.
Moved by Jones, second by Wood. Questions? Hear none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
It passes unanimously. We go now to items under item 18, construction.
I move items of consent.
Moved by Jones, second by Wood. Questions? See none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
I would like to add one additional thing.
All right, Mr. Jones.
I just want to acknowledge what I think the great work that is occurring in your district over at the Griffin Middle School and the brand new aesthetic that they will be bringing to the Griffin Middle School.
Mr. Jones, if you would slow down just a moment, just 1 second, put the brakes on for a second. I appreciate those comments because they are true. They are doing great work over there, and we do so appreciate what is happening at the Griffin Middle School under the leader of the dynamic principal, Zelene O'Bannon. All right, now, are we now at point where? 19. All right, let me turn the page, and who and where is that? He threw me off. There it is right there. Dr. Gale takes care of me. Items of consideration, 9.01.
Ms. McAllister.
Ms. McAllister is present. Good evening, School Board Chair and School Board members.
Good evening.
Item 1901 is for your consideration. It's regarding our Memorandum of Understanding between the Leon County Teachers Classroom Association along with the Leon County School Board regarding our bottom or lowest 300 schools. They are Hartsfield, Pineview, and Oak Ridge. And be advised, this MOU is a working document which reflects all of the great work that we're putting into these environments to help support our teachers and students achieve academic success.
Move approval.
It's been moved by Strickland. Second by Jones. Questions?
I just want to thank the LCTA and everyone involved with this worthwhile initiative to make certain that our children, particularly at these schools of concern, are well served. So thank you.
All right, all in favor say aye. Aye. It passes unanimously. 19.02.
Thank you, School Board Chair. This Memorandum of Understanding is between the district and the Leon Classroom Teachers Association regarding teacher evaluations. What I wanted to share is what we know that we're in unprecedented times. The pandemic has affected us in many areas of teaching, learning, working. We're navigating in a new area. So working with the Teacher Evaluation Committee along with district administration, What we wanted to do is to make sure that the evaluation process and the numbers of evaluations don't add undue stress to our teachers who are under an enormous amount of pressure to ensure teaching and learning is continuous during this pandemic time. Therefore, what we decided to do, what we're asking for you to give consideration to, is to decrease the number of evaluations at various levels. The MOU is in front of you. Category 1A are first year beginning teachers. And what we'd like to do is hold 2 formal evaluations for the year and 2 walkthroughs. For category 1, these are our teachers that are new to the district, about 1 to 3 years of experience. They may have been in Wakulla, Jefferson County, South Florida, Central Florida, but just kind of new to our area with no more than 3 years of experience. They will be held to 1 formal evaluation and 1 walkthrough evaluation or observation. Please forgive me. Category 2 are teachers that have 4 to 9 years of teaching experience. They will be held to 1 formal evaluation and 0 walkthroughs. Last but not least, category 3 will also be held to 1 observation, 0 walkthroughs. And these are teachers that have 10 years or more of experience, our more senior teachers. And so what we're asking the board to consider is to help approve or pass this request so that we can work together and take some of the undue stress off of our teachers. It's also important to note, board, that our informal observations have decreased to 0. So we will not hold any informal observations at all for this year only.
Okay, I heard a motion by Stripling.
Second.
Second by Wood. Questions?
I just want to. I had following our agenda review, I had opportunity to think about this issue some more. Although I defer to the expertise of those involved, I am concerned about any activity that would diminish the opportunity for up-close mentoring of new professionals who come into the industry. There's an enormous difference, as I can imagine, from what you read in textbooks to what you have to do to implement and to successfully manage classrooms. And I think it almost ties our hands in terms of the type of engagement that we can have, particularly with our beginning instructors. And I think it would be critical to ensure retention. But again, I just wanted to offer that. I did not offer it yesterday as a part of our agenda review, but that is a concern of mine, and I just wanted to make that a part of the public record. Okay. My concern about anything that diminishes the engagement between our administration and our beginning professionals.
May I respond?
Yes, ma'am, please.
I want to be clear, when we talk about formal and informal evaluations, our administrators are always continuously offering support and encouragement to our teachers, whether they're beginning, more senior like myself, or other persons in this career. Decreasing the number of evaluations for teachers does not decrease the amount of support offered through mentoring.
That's correct.
Our teachers are provided or make opportunities to engage in meaningful conversations within their grade levels. They oftentimes have mentors that are at the school level, and district administrators go out to the schools to support those newer teachers that may be struggling. Be advised that Mr. Shane Seifert, who's Director of Teaching and Learning, who oversees our mentoring program, is in our schools, at all of our schools. And we make sure that our teachers are paired with individuals to support them, especially now more so than ever before, when we're not permitted or not meeting in person and supporting. So although we're asking for the decrease in the numbers of formal evaluations, we're not decreasing the amount of support offered by our administration through the informal walkthroughs or through the visitation of classrooms and the encouragement that our administrators are continuously supporting all of our teachers that need to be encouraged during this time.
Mrs. McAllister, you'll notice that I prefaced my comments that I would defer to the expertise.
Sure.
And I appreciate this informal teaching moment that you have provided the school board member, even without the formality of a classroom. So thank you. And my mind has now subsequently been changed, and I have seen the light.
Good. Well, then it has been motioned and seconded and discussed. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposes the same. It passes unanimously. Wonderful. Item 19.03.
Thank you, School Board Chair. Last but not least for this evening from the Labor and Employee Relations Office, I'd like for you to give careful consideration with the Memorandum of Understanding between the Leon County School Board and the Leon Classroom Teachers Association as it deals with high school athletics and the admittance of educators into games. It was brought to our attention. There were some concerns that teachers were being charged admittance. But as you know, I just shared, COVID-19 has affected us in all aspects of our learning environments, whether we're on the field, the court, or whether in the classroom. In years past, our contract speaks to it continuously that teachers are permitted to attend athletic events free of charge with the proper badges and signage. However, we've had to limit the number of persons who attend our athletic events, especially at the high school, due to COVID-19 restrictions and CDC guidelines. Therefore, we are asking for you to consider now, as we are progressing throughout the school year, for the remainder of the school year, we are asking that teachers who have children or young people who are athletes be admitted to high school athletic events with the proper badge free of charge, and not to be held responsible for paying a fee to get in. I want to make sure that I add, because we did reference it at the agenda review yesterday, as being a former high school administrator, many of the young people that we encounter will ask, Ms. McAllister, are you going to come see me play tonight? Or are you going to stop by the event after school? And so what we're saying is, if a teacher has been asked and would like to show their student support, which many of our teachers do continuously, they can speak to the high school athletic director or the coach, and they may come in if there is space permitted following CDC guidelines free of charge as well. So I wanted to make sure that that was so noted in this memorandum of understanding.
Move approval.
Second. Moved and second. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It passes unanimously. Thank you, Ms. McAllister. Thank you, Leon Classroom Teachers Association.
Thank you.
Item 19.04 is pulled. 19.05, resolving lawsuit. Mr. Topolsky.
Move approval as we discussed this yesterday.
Second.
It's moved. And second, discussion. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
It passes unanimously. 1906, Dr. Gale, school board meeting calendar.
Madam Chair, Superintendent, school board members, you'll recall approximately a month ago, I gave you a draft calendar of school board days. And at the request, or actually the idea of our legal, our attorney, we determined that we would add the trim dates. We wouldn't take any dates away. The logic behind that is easier to cancel a meeting than to add it. And so this calendar does have all of the trim dates added. And as we get closer in the calendar to those dates, we can make the decision of whether we keep them. Of course, we have to keep trim dates, or whether we remove them.
Move approval.
Second. Moved and second. Discussion. Hearing none. All say aye in favor.
Aye.
All right. Thank you. Reports from board liaisons. Hearing none. Superintendent's comments. Are there any?
Madam Chair, briefly,
Yes.
we talked earlier about Pillar 4 and strengthening community relationships, and I see a former Leon High School parent of mine, Miss Susan Gwynn, who's in LT class of 38, that has spent the past 2 hours of her life with us. Those 2 hours she will not get back, but I'm sure she has thoroughly enjoyed our meeting and understanding a little bit more about our school system, and I'm sure she will share with other members of her class. So, Susan, thank you for being here. You know, yesterday during our agenda review, I pulled an item that related to compensatory time for our classroom teachers, because I wanted a little more time to reflect on it and think through it and to make sure we got it right. I also had a time sitting there before I went to bed last night to think about all we've been through over the course of the last year, and it's hard to believe, but this Saturday will be exactly 1 year since we went home. And look how far we have come and all that we've accomplished in a year. And I said this before, I just really chuckle when I hear the president say his goal is to reopen our schools within his first 100 days of office. And we've been open for business since October 31st. And a big reason for that is because of our classroom teachers, our school administrators, and our non-support staff. So we're going to come back right after spring break with some very exciting news around a compensatory time package for our teachers that kind of shows again how much we value all that they have done over the course of the last year and all the hard work they have put in. It's something that we're going to be really proud of, and I think our teachers are going to greatly appreciate it, and it's well deserved. But in addition to that, to think what could we possibly do for our school administrators and for a non-instructional staff in both LESPA and 1010. And so what I'd like to propose tonight, or really announce tonight, is we're going to shut things down for a week, starting with the Office of the Superintendent.
Good.
That we are going to give all of our employees district-wide next week to catch their breath, to pull their masks down, to get a breath of fresh air, and to reflect on what's really important. We hope the weather will be nice, so we'd like to announce this evening that Leon County Schools will officially be closed for business next week. And right after spring break, we will meet with Mr. Mazur and folks with LCTA before the end of this week, so we will come back with a package that I think we'll all be happy with to show once again how much we value our instructional staff and our teachers. So with that, Madam Chair, I'm excited to make that announcement. Our people deserve it.
Yes, they
You
do.
know,
They deserve it.
But I do have a
Superintendent-
question.
Oh, he has a question first. Go ahead, Mr. Jones.
Will our workers be required to take leave?
They will not.
No.
This is on us.
Good.
All right.
This
Thank
is on us. It's basically compensatory time for all of our employees who have worked and gone above the call of duty for the last year now to ensure first for the safety of our children and for our families, and then to provide the quality of education for all of them as well. And then we will follow up right after spring break with a package for our instructional staff and teachers, because our teachers are already off next week and do not have to take leave time during
I
spring
will
break.
applaud now. Thank you
Mr.
for
Superintendent,
clarifying.
I will applaud that in just a minute, but I must say this. Remember, colleagues, some time ago when we were taking a look at, I think there were about 81 or so individuals who had requested some kind of leave, or if you had an underlying condition, you wanted to work from home. You remember that? And I saw a letter, I think, or maybe somebody shared with me. And at the bottom of that letter, it said, flexibility, something, and compassion. Remember that?
Flexibility, compassion, and grace.
And grace. This, to me, in that statement and this effort shows, say what you just said?
Flexibility, compassion, and grace.
and grace.
Yes, ma'am.
With that, my stock in this school system has even gone higher, Mr. Superintendent, for what you and your staff are doing for these folk who do the hard work and, as Mr. Jones would say, the heavy lifting. So to me, that shows the kind of grace and compassion that I really think we ought to be about. And so thank you so much on behalf of everyone. That's great. Okay.
I just need to say thank you too. You know, we had that discussion yesterday, and I think it's obvious you went home and thought about it, and I love it when you do that and you take in everybody's input and come back with such a great recommendation. And I think our employee all across the district are going to feel appreciated, and they're going to be appreciative because, you know, that's a big thing, not to have to take leave and to be able to take a week off and not everybody,
is.
somebody having to be staffing the phones like we always do.
Absolutely.
The community, I think, will be totally fine with the schools not being open, and will applaud your efforts as we all do here.
And we
Well,
do.
and you know, we
do.
talked about this
Wow.
coming in tonight. One of the few perks
Oh, wow.
that our
This is
teachers and
great.
our other employees have in this profession is being paid out for their leave once they retire, because the retirement numbers it's hard. They only, teachers only receive about 48% of their highest salaried years, and so it's hard to survive. So one of the things they look forward to is being paid out, not just teachers, but all of our employees, to be paid out for their annual and sick time. So this is well deserved by our people. It's the least we can do.
Yes, it is.
Superintendent Hannah, this is Dina McAllister, School Board Chair. We will send out information regarding how this time should be properly coded.
Okay.
I know we have different bargaining units and people have put time into the system already. So we'll look at the calendars and make sure that we note that appropriately. So there's no confusion in the end. We want to make sure that we clarify, because we have different bargaining groups. Although he's closing the entire school district, we want to make sure that people are coding their time in the system correctly. And we'll go from there. There are some specific groups we're going to look at real closely to make sure we're meeting this request by contract language.
Thank you. Thank you for being on top of the job, Ms. McAllister. Thank you. Anything further? Yes. Wait a minute. Where were we? Superintendent comments, concerns from board members. I need to back up just a moment on a quick report to give a shout out to the outstanding work that Kathleen Rogers did in representing the Leon County school system February 25th and 26th at the All Together Now conference, which was titled Securing Safe Learning Environments for Florida LGBTQ plus students. She did an outstanding job, rave reviews. There must have been about 300, 450 people attending this conference. It was outstanding. I served on a panel with other school board members. I'm a member of the Florida School Board's Equity Committee, and we presented a panel talking about the kinds of things that we've done here in our county to make certain that we were taking steps to move toward a more inclusive community here in Leon County Schools. So that didn't go so bad. As a matter of fact, we got rave reviews, if I must say so. We've also been asked, the same committee of 4 women from Polk, Leon, West Palm Beach, the president of the Florida School Boards Association, James Goodwin, and myself, to present at the Tampa conference this June. So Leon County Schools is in the mix, and we do what we can to make certain that we continue to do a good job at what we do. So please let Miss Dr. Rogers know that she has gotten a shout out.
Speaking of shout outs, if I don't mind, can I give you and Miss Harris a shout out for being recognized as 25 women we need to know?
Very proud of you.
Mrs. Superintendent.
Month of the Woman. We're very excited.
I tell you, you know what? I need to carry that a little bit further. I need to give a shout out to Miss Harris. Miss Harris, you are phenomenal. And when I make these statements, I really want them to be reflected in the record, which is, I expect everything we say is in the record. But when I looked at the Tallahassee Democrat a couple of days ago, and it said February Black History Month retrospective, remember that article? Mm-hmm. And I saw that you and 14 others who had been surveyed by, I think, the Tallahassee Democrat, I read that article and I went, oh, how wonderful this is. Mm-hmm. How great this is. And then I thought, wait a minute. Why only 14? And while I'm proud of what was there, I really hope that you will continue the work and that your group can be expanded. And one of the things that I wanted to say, I'm interested in knowing what that group had to say, but I think we need to expand that group. I would love to have, Mr. Superintendent, in the early fall of the year, a survey done so that we can know what all of our students are thinking about, I'm going to say, Black History Month, period. Because when I read some of the comments that those 14 had made about what they felt they needed to have been taught in school, what they thought they needed to have had discussed, they were to me some very cutting edge issues. And it sounded as if there was great need to have that kind of discussion had. And so here we sit in the shadow of the Capitol, you know, one of 7 counties that the Department of Education has said you're doing a good job because you are infusing Black history into your curriculum. I want to make certain that that continues to happen. You know what I'm saying? Yes, and so I'd be interested in knowing, and this has to come from the top. You know, I don't know who asked you all. I don't know if it was the school system, the Tallahassee Democrat. When I saw it, there you all were. And I'm thinking, well, I know there is more. So I looked at what is missing, what's missing from this article. All right? In my mind, what I saw missing was the opportunity to have had additional input made, because after all, Black history is American history, all right? And so that being given, and people are going to really stick the fork in me when I say this. I know that there are many great achievements by African Americans and contributions, but again, we're in the shadow of the Capitol. We're right here with the leading HBCU in the world, Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University, where Black scholars are raised, where in any level, at any time, these folk can be brought over to any of the schools to share information. And what family you may not have, then there is a program at Florida State University, the African American Studies program. So here in this town, we are overflowing with all kinds of genius when it comes to being able to infuse in our curriculums additional information about what we need to have in being taught in our schools. And I think our children need to know. I saw on that list they wanted to be having conversations about Black Lives Matter. I'm trying to think of some other things that they had on there, but they were all cutting edge. And so in my mind, if that 15 wanted to know, I suspect that others want to know. So if I was still in the classroom, this would be what I would do, and I'd probably get fired, Ms. Stripling. But this is what I would do, because I was a social studies teacher. I would be bold and brave, and I would bring to my classroom, of course my wonderful principal would approve it, an all-white panel of folk to talk about Black History Month. I would try that out, and I'll tell you why I would try that out. Sometimes when we start to talk about Black History Month, it's us talking about it, you know? But we didn't do and accomplish much of what we did and accomplished all by ourselves. This is the Joy Bowen, okay? There were other good people who didn't look like me who helped with this effort, all right? And so I would be interested in having that kind of balance brought to the classroom. You know what I'm saying? And then, as Mr. Jones likes to say, the heavy lifting wouldn't be on people who look like me and him alone. And I'm not suggesting that that is the way it is in this county. But I am saying that I think to take that kind of look and that kind of recommendation, Mr. Superintendent, and undergird it in our system could be a fine thing to do. Because as we teach these children, when I looked at that paper, it suggested to me that that perceptual data was what they had from that 14. That was their perceptions. What are the other perceptions? There must be more, and to me it seemed valid. And so I suggest that the more data that we have to use and address and supporting Black history is for the benefit of the entire community, And it is about creating that mutual kind of respect for the shared history of all of us. And so I needed to add that, and I hope that you will continue to do it. Anything that we can do to help. Often we're invited over to various schools to be Black History Month speakers, but I really want us to continue to live up to what we say we're doing as we infuse Black history into our entire curriculum. We're doing a fine job, Mr. Superintendent, but I think that there is still more that we can do. Because for me now, this bleeds over into equity, diversity, and inclusion. It does. And so as we plan for next year, and you plan for next year, I hope that we can keep those minds in thought and maybe start to make the kind of inroads that would share our histories and blend it in a way that is more befitting of us here in the capital city as we live in this fishbowl. Okay, so I appreciate you and congratulations. I don't know what they have planned for us. Are you excited?
Yes, ma'am.
You are?
Very.
Well, I'm trying to pretend that I'm not, but I'm excited myself. I really am. Thank you. Further comments? Hearing none.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I do.
Mr. Jones?
I wanted to, during this Women's History Month, acknowledge my predecessors, and I wanted to do like you have done before, use your continuing or new concern as a history moment.
Right.
And this evening, I'd like to talk about the late Dr. Doris Alston.
Could you pull your mic up a little bit? I want to be able to hear you.
The late Dr. Doris Alston, who also was the first African American to be elected countywide in Leon County when she was elected to the Leon County School Board in the 70s. She first started her career on this Leon County School Board with an appointment by the late Governor Reuben Askew. She was a former professor at Florida A&M University and in fact started her teaching career in our Leon County School District. Now, following her appointment, she would then be elected countywide, making her the first African-American woman to be elected countywide here in Leon County, serving on this school board representing District 3. She is now no longer with us, having passed in 2010. But during this Women's History Month, I just wanted to acknowledge, as I have often said before, that I stand squarely on the shoulders of giants, and I wanted to acknowledge the late Dr. Doris Alston, the first African-American to serve on our Leon County School Board and the first African-American woman to be elected countywide. And at our next meeting, I will do the same and to acknowledge my most recent predecessor as well. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, and we probably will have additional commercials. Yes.
Yeah, I need to add one since we're calling people's names
Come
out.
on
We acknowledged Virginia Lawrence
Yes.
at our last meeting, and I was able to attend her service, and I just have to say John Lawrence was really represented the school board for us, and he was so appreciative. And Dr. Bill Johnson just
Yes.
passed away, and his service was Friday. I wasn't able to attend, but he was a giant in our school system too.
He was.
He was Bill Mumford's right-hand man. There was never a decision that Bill Mumford made without him first checking with Bill Johnson.
You're right.
And he was a leader in the principals group and just a fine, fine human being, and just want to hold his name up tonight as well.
Good.
And I echo that. I had a chance to speak with his wife, Janice, and we just keep her in thoughts and prayers, and we offered a resolution at the service on behalf of our school system.
Good.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. But you're right, both Bill and Janice were
rock stars.
I mean, they were, absolutely.
They were rock stars. That's right. And I think we need to do this often too, because it connects our humanity to humanity and our caring about each other. We are a good board in that respect, not only because we like each other, but because we respect each other and what we bring. Now, Ms. Harris, I know that you've been thinking, are there some things that you'd like to say to us as we end this meeting tonight?
I just also would like to include how well you guys have taken, or how well coming back to school is. So thank you guys so much, but that's about it from me.
Well, we appreciate you and the strength that you bring and the leadership that you're showing. So keep up the good work out there at the Childs High School with my former student, your principal. Further comments for this board?
Shout out to the Title I office for this beautiful shirt and to Springwood Elementary for my beautiful mask.
All right. Mr. Superintendent, you may as well shout out on that end since he's shouting out on this end. And Ms. Williams never shouts out. She never shouts out. Does anybody else want to shout out in that regard? Ms. Wood?
No, I'm ready to go.
We are adjourned.
I'm backing up my